And welcome back to Rotation Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, where were we? In our last episode, we took drastic action to beat back the ever-encroaching tide of Salamangreat. Every single one of the tournaments that we've hosted has been dominated by this core set strategy. And while I'd like to blame it on extenuating circumstances, between Quantalthink, Ben K1W, and Sawa, only one of those is a world champion. So last episode, we did two things. Removed a significant amount of Salamangreat cards from the core set card pool, and released our first small set, Advent of the Antagonists. This 60-card booster contains a ton of cards focused on two duelists in particular, Bandit Keith and Bakura. However, it also contains some extremely powerful cards for some of the strategies found in the core set. We hosted a tournament, and here are the hits. God, please not Salamangreat again. I can't do this. First up, we have a match from Swiss. Izanagi 104 versus Destiny. Unchained versus Machina. The two duelists representing strategies from the most recent set facing off against one another. We'll begin with something that should look familiar to anyone who has played TCG of late, Aruha Papa back row. We'll go into the dog and then make Unchained Soul of Rage before setting one and passing. The set card is going to be eaten alive by a Mystical Space Typhoon, but no big deal for Unchained, they can float off of that. From here, our Machina player will go into Gear Frame and go to the battle phase, walking over this Unchained Soul of Rage from a position where they cannot use its effect. Instead, the Unchained player is going to go into Rikeya, then afterwards cycle into an Unchained Soul of Disaster. Finally, Machina Duelist will end on Machina Aerator, set 2 and pass turn. We'll draw, and Tears of the Overroot will make quick work of the Unchained Soul of Disaster, resetting a second one from the graveyard. We'll activate Archfiend Eccentric, scaling it, then popping the second Tears of the Overroot before going for an Aruha, targeting our set Doggy. Disaster is going to float back into a copy of Unchained Soul of Rage. We'll set one card and pass turn, at which point Machina Aerator will cycle into a Possessed Storage. Possessed Storage can reborn the Gear Frame if not for the DD Crow. Suddenly, we have kind of reached parity. We're going to go for Gizmek Orochi at end step, then draw for turn. From here, we can overlay for a copy of Felgrand and walk directly into one of the format's premier removal spells, Chaos Trap Hole. Orochi can reborn, of course, allowing a normal summon of Machina Fortress, which of course is not a valid target for the Unchained Soul of Rage. So from here, we're going to use Rage to get back the Unchained Soul of Disaster and the Res Avenger for the Machina player. Oh, that's a pretty good draw. Tour Guide from the Underworld is going to summon from deck a copy of Dark Spirit of Banishment into a Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy. That's going to cycle back this copy of Possessed Storage and make a Barricade Borg blocker, pitching this Disaster and triggering the effect of this Dark Spirit of Banishment as well. We'll use A-Bomb to go to the end step and destroy this copy of the Machina Fortress. We'll cycle for a Wailing of the Unchained Souls as the Gizmek Orochi returns. We'll use the on-field effect to pop this copy of Abomination, normal summon a Res Avenger, and go into a Dark, summoning back this copy of Unchained Soul of Rage before going to the battle phase for 1850 and 1800. Our Unchained Pilot is on the ropes, but our Machina Pilot only has 6 cards left in deck, and Dark Spirit of Malice is exactly what they're looking for. This is a card that can functionally stall forever. As they go for the effect of the Dark Charmer Gloomy, we can use the effect of Malice in order to summon an Unchained Soul of Disaster in defense position, and though it is popped at the end of the turn by the Unchained Abomination, we can cycle both the Banishment and the Malice back to hand to ensure that we're protected next turn as well. Rikeya in defense position will wall up as we attempt to run our opponent out of cards. We're going to try to pop this copy of Wailing of the Unchained Souls into an effect failure, but instead the activation will prompt the Dark Spirit of Malice, bring back the Unchained Soul of Disaster. We'll flip up the Wailing, which triggers when we link summon an Unchained Soul of Rage. We'll activate the effect of our Unchained Soul of Rage into our opponent's Unchained Soul of Rage and cycle back the Malice and the Banishment as well. Finally, our opponent will pop this copy of Wailing and proceed to the battle phase. They'll attack, but the Banishment will make quick work of that, redirecting the attack to an Unchained Soul of Disaster, which matches the Unchained Abomination in terms of defense points. We'll go ahead and activate the effect of the Malice in order to bring back a second copy of Unchained Soul of Disaster, and then afterwards we'll activate the Aruha that was ripped off the top of the deck in order to summon itself and trigger the effect of the Disaster as well. That's going to cycle the Banishment and the Malice, and of course this copy of Unchained Soul of Rage as well. We'll make our own Abomination, go to the battle phase, walk over Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy, and then use A-Bomb's effect. Unfortunately, the other A-Bomb triggers off this as well, so mostly we are just clearing the field. We'll pass back to our opponent, who still has an A-Bomb at their disposal, but unfortunately they'll never be able to connect because of our Dark Spirits. Here we'll be able to MST the back row, and then afterwards we can normal summon a Tour Guide from the Underworld we ripped off the top for a copy of Sangan from deck. We'll go into a Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy and trigger the effect of the Sangan to grab a DD Crow, activating Dark to bring back an Unchained Abomination, and then going to the battle phase in order to crash them both and get in for 1850. Suddenly, the ball is in the Unchained player's court. With 2 Machinas in hand, we can finally activate the effect, summoning itself, but unfortunately this isn't lethal, and Banishment can redirect the attack to this Unchained Soul of Disaster, which is what they'll do. They'll set one card and pass back turn, and what do we draw off the top but another MST to eat the final unknown card. It is, of course, a dead copy of Redeployment. We will activate the Effect of the Dark in order to go into an A-Bomb, walk over this copy of Fortress, and though it does trade for this copy of Dark, we can trigger the Effect of the A-Bomb in order to destroy our Unchained Soul of Disaster and bring back the Rage to our side of the field as well. We've got both Dark Spirits in grip. We are fully in control of this game, and our opponent only has 2 cards remaining in deck. One is Hammer Shot, which is not sufficient. They're going to blow up their own monster. Might as well just attack in, not commit anything else to the board, pass here, and dare them to win off their last card, which they cannot do. A long and hard-fought victory for Unchained. After Swiss had concluded, the top 8 looked like this. 4 Machina, 2 Dark Magician, 1 Hero, and... No. No, come on, please, I can't do this. Please, God, no! We've taken everything from them! Well, obviously, we have to watch the Salamangreat game. Coggers is playing against YouTube Ray here, one on Dark Magician and the other on Salamangreat. I should talk a little bit about how Salamangreat has changed in the wake of its 15th wave of bannings. Now, Salamangreat attempts to make powerful synchro monsters like Junk Speeder in order to swarm the board with monsters before making extremely good link bosses very efficiently. We're going to go for Spinny. That's going to be met with a Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, hoping that they have no extender, and thankfully they don't. They'll set a Chaos Trapple, and Illusion of Chaos comes down. We'll activate the effect for Dark Magician, then activate the effect of the Eternal Soul to summon it onto the field, and activate Dark Magic Circle to banish that bad boy. We'll activate the effect of the Soul Servant here in order to grab Illusion of Chaos and get in for 16 and 25. Ball is absolutely in the court of the Dark Magician player. They're going to go Dark here and walk into a DD Crow at end step. Unfortunately, Eternal Soul is a once per turn. They're going to go from a Jack Jaguar into a Baylings. Baylings effect to grab a copy of Salamangreat Sanctuary. Then afterwards, they'll trigger the effect of the Spinny, and the Spinny will be met with a DD Crow as its effect attempts to activate. Instead, we'll Reincarnation summon a copy of Baylings, and then activate the effect of the Jack Jaguar, summoning it to the link point before making a Sunlight Wolf, and activating the hand effect of Assault Synchron to trigger said Sunlight Wolf, cycling back to grip a copy of Jack Jaguar. Unfortunately, this is not going to be able to do it. This Illusion of Chaos, of course, can get a Dark Magician, then put itself back, then Eternal Soul the Dark Magician out, triggering the effect of the Dark Magical Circle and banishing this copy of Sunlight Wolf before normal summoning the top decked Magician's Rod for a copy of Secrets of Dark Magic. We'll get in for well over lethal. Okay, one more game. Please, I am begging you, put an end to Salamangreat's reign of terror in this game. Unfortunately, this hand is exceptionally good for the Salamangreat player. They're going to begin with a copy of Foxy into a Baylings. That's going to grab a Salamangreat Sanctuary from deck to hand. Next, they can activate the Graveyard effect of the Foxy because there's a face-up spell trap on field. They don't have to pop it, so they can go into another Baylings, into a Sunlight Wolf, and then Reincarnation summon a Sunlight Wolf into an Effect Veiler. Okay, the effect is negated. Maybe we can do it. We'll set a copy of Karma Cut and draw for turn. That's a pretty good one. We'll begin with a copy of Magician's Rod into an Effect Veiler as well. All right, fine. Afterwards, we can go for Illusion of Chaos in order to grab from deck to hand another Magician's Rod and try again next turn. For turn, our Salamangreat player is going to draw a DD Crow. They'll activate the effect of the Sunlight Wolf, and the Lost Wind comes down. They'll go Jack Jaguar here in order to put back a Sunlight Wolf, but we can keep that Sunlight Wolf in the graveyard with the effect of the Skullmeister. Maybe we can cut them off it permanently. Instead, they are forced to make a format here, an Unchained Abomination, which is good, but very beatable. Every deck has an out to this card. It is the premier format threat. Let's normal summon a copy of Magician's Rod for a Dark Magical Circle into an Eternal Soul, but unfortunately, this doesn't do it because as we proceed to the end phase, the Unchained Abomination can pop the Eternal Soul, and we've got a problem once again. When they go to battle, they can attack over the Magician's Rod and eat the last remaining card of the field, the Dark Magical Circle. Things are looking very bad for our Dark Magician duelist. That's not a bad draw. We'll go for the Illusion of Chaos for the third and final Magician's Rod. That's going to grab from deck to hand a copy of Soul Servant. We'll activate Secrets of Dark Magic. They will chain Karma Cut. We'll chain the effect of the Soul Servant, but that's not going to do it. It means, unfortunately, we are not going to be able to perform a fusion summon, and oh god, this is it, isn't it? They'll go to the battle phase and get in for 3,000. Just one draw is all that remains. It's got to be something crazy. And that's pretty good. We'll activate the effect and grab a copy of Secrets of Dark Magic. Finally, we get to attempt to resolve it. Down comes the Dark Magicians. We can activate the effect of the Soul Servant to draw one and the effect of the Dark Magicians to draw an additional one, but nothing contests the on-field Unchained Abomination. They can activate the effect of the Soul Servant in order to go ahead and get a copy of Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl from deck, but any normal summon beats this, and Junk Synchron is a hell of a normal summon. Tuning target the Satellite Synchron in graveyard is extremely powerful, but as is, we're still going to be able to use Unchained Abomination to clear the field and then go for the Junk Synchron afterwards, putting them down to a meager 900. The second Fant, please, not like this! Look at this hand. Mimicking Maneater Bug. Do not let the deck playing main deck mimicking Maneater Bug win a 4th consecutive tournament. I am begging you. YouTube Ray, do what you have to. Illusion of Chaos begins. We'll grab a copy of Magician's Rod. We'll normal summon the Magician's Rod and grab from deck to hand. You guessed it, a Magician's Salvation. That's going to set from deck a copy of Eternal Soul. Next, we'll set 2 and pass turn. For turn, Coggers is going to draw a Karma Cut. They'll begin with Tuning. That'll get them an Assault Synchron, and they pitch a Junk Converter for a Junk Synchron. They'll activate the effect of the Junk Synchron, trying to force it through, but down comes the Effect Veiler. That's good. That's good. That's a start. They're going to set 1 card, draw for turn. It's a DD Crow. That's fantastic. We'll go to the battle phase and walk in with Magician's Rod. Activate the effect of the Illusion of Chaos in order to grab another Magician's Rod, normal summon that bad boy, and then activate its effect to grab a copy of Dark Magical Circle in order to find a Secrets of Dark Magic into Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy. It's going to be Karma Cutted, and now there is no back row remaining. Oh, God. It's just hand traps, just defensive tools. They'll go into Almirage off the Mimicking Maneater Bug. This deck is so neat, but the Spinny is going to be met with the DD Crow. We do have defensive options. We just don't have any engine. A draw for turn, and it's on your mark, get set, duel. That's not going to be sufficient. Instead, they're going to try and go for a dark play. The Lost Wind will check that. They'll get in for 925. We just need anything here. Magician's Rod! We'll activate the effect of the Magician's Rod. That's going to grab from deck to hand a Soul Servant. We'll set that in pass turn. For turn, we draw a Junk Converter, but no tuner in hand means we have to activate the effect of the Dark in Graveyard in order to get one. As a result, we'll go Soul Servant in order to cycle and blank this battle phase, taking 925 instead. We'll draw for turn. It's got to be something crazy. Please. Illusion of Chaos. We'll activate the effect. That will get a Dark Magician in hand. And finally, we can activate Eternal Soul and get off to the races, summoning the Dark Magician from the hand and proccing the effect of the Dark Magical Circle, banishing the Dark, getting in for 25. We're actually doing it. We are sending Salamangreat to the Shadow Realm. We'll activate On Your Market Set Duel. That's going to grab from deck to hand a copy of Junk Synchron. Junk Synchron here is going to reborn this copy of nothing. Effect Veiler on the Junk Synchron means we aren't going to be able to make it to Junk Speeder. We'll draw for turn. It's Illusion of Chaos again. Soul Servant activation here is going to draw another card, and Eternal Soul can summon out the Dark Magician. We ripped off the top. Let's banish that monster with Dark Magical Circle. 200 points off lethal, please. We will activate in the battle phase Secrets of Dark Magic, summoning Illusion of Chaos from hand. Oh, thank God. We've followed YouTube Ray all the way to finals, where they face off against Fazzy, playing the most dominant deck in Top Cut, Machina. Can Dark Magician stand up to these Dark Machines? We're going to begin with a copy of Magician's Rod. That's a pretty strong start. Into a Dark Magical Circle. That's going to rip a Secrets of Dark Magic, set 2 and pass. Let's see what Fazzy can get up to. This hand looks fantastic. Unclass Aspare triggers here. Send a copy of Rune Force to the graveyard. We'll go Fortress for Fortress for Fortress and get in for a ton of damage. Just putting this Dark Magician deck on a clock is so good. We'll activate the effect of the Gizmek Orochi here and be met with the DD Crow. So we are not dead at this moment, but we've got a couple of really powerful cards waiting in the wings. We'll go for Soul Servant here, and then for turn, we will, of course, draw the Illusion of Chaos that we've stacked. We'll activate the effect of the Illusion of Chaos for a Dark Magician, then normal summon a Magician's Rod. But oh no, that effect triggers on normal. It's time for the rug to be pulled. A quick game 1. It's time for game 2, the game that could decide the rest of rotation. YouTube Ray is staring down a hand that looks absolutely killer, playing a series of cards you might not even be familiar with. Made to Order Mermaid Outfitter. Can he overcome it? Magician's Salvation is going to be critical in no matter what he does. We'll set 2 and pass turn. Fazzy draws another pulling the rug. They're going to begin with a Machina redeployment, pitching a copy of Gizmek Orochi. They'll activate Unclass Aspare's effect, summoning itself and activating its second effect in order to bin a copy of Fortress. They'll activate Fortress, pitching a Rune Force, and then activate Gear Frame into an Effect Veiler. They still have a ton of damage on field here, overlaying for Gear Gigant X, activating the effect in order to grab, a Res Avenger into Air Raider, pitching the Res Avenger, and going to the battle phase doing 23, 25, and 15, just a little bit off lethal until we activate Gizmek Orochi into Terrors of the Overroot. We can set the Orochi here to not take damage and survive until the next turn. Down comes Rune Force, down comes Made to Order. We'll grab an Effect Veiler of our own, set a pulling the rug, Soul Servant in end phase. We'll grab the Illusion of Chaos for turn. Activate the effect of the Illusion of Chaos in order to grab, oh please don't do it, a Dark Magician. We'll activate Eternal Soul, summoning the Dark Magician to our side of the field, but it's just a vanilla. It doesn't do anything. Soul Servant draw, go to the battle phase, walk over for 200. All we have to do is switch these monsters to attack position. Another Effect Veiler, flip up Gizmek Orochi, normal Effect Veiler into Dark, into Secrets of Dark Magic to perform a fusion summon of the Dark Magicians. Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy will target the Dark Magician, prompting the Eternal Soul a little earlier than YouTube Ray probably wanted. They'll go for the Dark Magician's effect. We'll go to the battle phase. We get to negate the effect because of Ruin Force. Get in for well over lethal. And Machina is your rotation champion. Thank you. And just like that, Fazzy has taken it all with Machina. Personally, I'm delighted that the second most popular deck was Dark Magician. That's something that I would never have expected to happen. And despite the hatred I feel for them deep in my soul, at this point you gotta hand it to the Salamangreat duelists. I look forward to seeing what the new year will bring.